As the War of Realms rages on, Malekith and his dark forces will try and turn Eddie Brock to their side. All this and more in the pages of Venom issue number 14. Let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? Alrighty then, so picking up from where the last issue left off, Eddie had managed to stash away his son Dylan somewhere safe while he dealt with all the fighting. Of course, to do that, he had to make a devil's deal with one of Malekith's war witches to get himself a new suit, one that is fueled by his own anger and rage. Luckily, he has no shortage of that, don't you know? Also, while all the Avengers, Champions, and X-Men duke it out with fantasy creatures from Norse mythology, Eddie is duking it out with Roxxon's own private army, a group of turncoat humans who rolled out the red carpet for all the Norse horror, something that makes Eddie even madder, which in turn makes his suit even more powerful. Of course, the witch who gave him this amazing power just isn't going to let him walk around with it without paying the piper first, and because Eddie refused to serve Malekith, something that's kind of becoming a weird little side story in the War of Realm, the fact that Malekith is interested in symbiotes and symbiote users, the witch opted to cut a brand new deal with power for one of Venom's old enemies, Jack-o'-lantern. Which Jack-o'-lantern, it doesn't matter, they're all losers. All you need to know is that this guy has a bone to pick with Venom, and now he has his own power-ups going on. Of course, Jack isn't going to be fighting fair. Even in Venom's newest form, it's still weak to fire, and Jack is using a bunch of hit-and-run tactics, kiting Venom into a bunch of bigger bad guys, which Eddie is all too happy to tear through like they were wet tissue paper, while horrible memories play over in his mind, some from his greater history and some from just recently. It gets to the point where Venom starts to wonder to himself, is it right for one person to have so much baggage, so much darkness in him? For a long time, he assumed the symbiote was a bad influence on him, but now it seems like that might be the other way around. Now, when Eddie gets burnt up too badly, something kind of miraculous happens. Again, this suit is magical and it's supposed to change and morph to whatever Eddie needs at that moment, and here he's gonna need more than a symbiote, he's gonna need some actual Asgardian armor, and because of that, he takes up a brand new, admittedly super badass form. But he shouldn't celebrate too quickly, as the War Witch says this is all part of her plan. The suit continues to feed off Eddie's darkest impulses, and once it's done, he will lose his mind completely and become a full-time tool of Malekith. This also means that Jack-o'-lantern was never actually supposed to win this fight, only push Eddie over the edge, and once he realizes that he too is a pawn in this greater game, he decides to go all Daenerys Targaryen and just burn up the entire town, including but not limited to the safe house that Dylan is hiding out in right now, which means his father, Eddie, is going to have to get his act together, and very soon, lest he's going to be the father of a burnt husk. And so that was Venom issue number 14, everybody, and ultimately it was pretty fine reading. Again, it's not exactly what I would call necessary reading for understanding the greater War of Realms, but it does do a good job etching out a small portion of it through the eyes of Venom. I wouldn't exactly call the story being told here meaty or anything. I certainly know Donny Cates can do much better, but hey, it's an event tie, and what are you gonna do, right? If nothing else, it is fun to see Eddie continue to fight the good fight with a Venom-like suit and slowly but surely come to the realization that maybe he was part of the problem too, and maybe when everything is said and done, he will be a better partner to the symbiote when they inevitably get back together. Ultimately, I'd give this one a 7 out of 10.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, did you know, outside just making great weekly comic videos, I'm also on several comic book podcasts, some of which are very popular. There's the Weekly Pull, which the shirt I'm wearing right now, that one goes every other Tuesday. Then there's the Elseworlds Exchange over on the Comic Pop channel. That's every Wednesday around 3 to 5, give or take. And then how could I possibly forget the Comic Multiverse, the show hosted by myself and Matt of Fortress of Solitude. That one goes live on this channel every Wednesday at 8, and also SoundCloud and iTunes later on. Be sure to check out and subscribe to those if you haven't already. I assure you, you won't be mistaken.